Hey, everybody! Welcome to Color Me and Sound Black Creative Series, where we highlight the bold, the brilliant, and beautifully creative work of courageous Black women in music, art, storytelling, and design. I'm your host, Dr. Angel Taylor. Today's guest is Meisha Pon, a writer, a retreat creator, and the founder of MyCircle Retreats. What began as journaling during international adventures evolved into a mission to help other mothers reclaim time, space, and self. Through storytelling, nature, and mindful reflection, Misha is rewriting the narrative around what it means to mother, to rest, and to restore. So let's step into her story.
Okay.
Hey!
Hi. That was very good.
So it has been a while since we actually talked. First of all, wait a minute. What are you wearing? Let me see that.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
This is my Dear Black Woman
Hey!
Anthology.
Let's go.
I'm donning my
Let's
Dear Black Woman
go.
t-shirt today as a celebration of being one of the co-authors for the
Yes.
Dear Black Woman Anthology Volume 1.
Hey, that's right. And that's where we connected also. So for those meeting you for the first time, how would you introduce yourself in your own words?
So I think you did a really good job. Like you penned some stuff from like my earlier days in young adulthood, and you wove that story and told it really well. So I'll just say that, I'm a first and foremost, I'm clearly a black woman, but I'm a migrant. So I came from Jamaica, and
Shout out to Jamaica. Hey.
yeah, and I've just been a woman on a journey to define who I am on my own terms
Yes.
and being okay with the courage it takes to do that. Yeah, and that basically formed into my business that I have through my circle. It's just like I've ever since I've known myself, I've been really on a quest to like understand more about who I am and then like creating my own rules and see what happens.
Okay. And it's been working. It's been working, right?
It
So
is.
what yeah, it's been working. So what inspired you to create My Circle Retreats and what was missing from traditional spaces for mothers?
So when I tell you the story about when I decided, my partner and I talked about becoming parents. And my thought process straight up was just like, well, women have been doing this for hundreds and thousands of years.
Yeah.
It, Probably not that hard. And so I was like, I'll just do one and test it out and see how it works, right? After having my daughter, I quickly started to unpack and realize that, first of all, motherhood is not for the faint of heart.
Right.
Motherhood is an opportunity or parenting in general, is just an opportunity to kind of reparent yourself in
Mhm.
some ways. And so if you're not ready emotionally for that and not ready mentally for that, it can be really daunting. And then on top of that, there was this idea that I had to pursue this like 9 to 5 in this big old corporate office. And, if I was
Exactly.
doing that, then I had arrived or I'd become. So pursuing all of those things and starting to then unpack like how hard, not just like how hard it is to be responsible for another human being. Um, and there's some deep thoughts that arise from those situations that sometimes doesn't feel okay to talk about.
Yeah.
Um, I was having conversations with other.
Hmm. Okay.
Can you still hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, you cut out there for a little bit. So yeah, it just became this thing where those conversations were a little bit taboo, and I wanted to hold space because we are suffering in silence. And um, I think it was Robin yesterday had a podcast with someone else, and she was sharing about how her silence was like a protector. She realized that her silence was somewhat like she was becoming implicit, right? So I realized that my silence and like my what my parents did or my grandparents and how they parented, like kudos to them because it was hard.
Very.
And we should not take it for granted how hard this job is and
Yeah.
how overwhelming, or I should say, totally consuming it is. Like, we got to be in there mentally, emotionally, physically. And it's okay to talk about this because talking about it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you less of a mom. It doesn't make, like, these stories we tell ourselves about what that, when you start to have those thoughts, how you should make you feel. Like, you should feel guilty, like, oh my god, I want more time for myself. But
Yeah.
the idea, the reality of it is it's hard, and it's okay for us to talk about it. So I created my circle for the purpose of holding space for moms to have those conversations, not having to over explain themselves because they're around people who already get it,
Yeah.
and reclaim time in their lives where they can pour into themselves, because when we pour into ourselves, we are more equipped to not only support ourselves, be able to like advocate for who we are and what we want, so we can get language for that and we can start
Yeah.
to build up for ourselves. But we also we model behavior for our children, and we basically have better relationships with our spouses and our family members as a direct result, because we're starting to learn how to care for ourselves, and that extends into our family.
And why is that important to you?
Because I've been doing this work for a little while now, and so when I think about like how the brain is wired, right, and I've been doing some studies and doing some research, I should say, on um, our nervous system, our brain, and conscious unconscious brain. When I found out that 95% of what we do is pretty much on autopilot,
Yeah.
what does that say about how we show up for ourselves and how we show up for our the next generation?
Hmm.
And are we living the life that we truly want to live, or are we living the life that someone else told us that we should?
Right.
And so I wanted to disrupt that. Um, I wanted us to start to question it. Like, really,
Yeah.
is this my life? Is this the life I'm choosing, or is this the life that's being given to me? And so that's how, basically how we started.
Yeah, and I love that you said disruptor because that's important because how are we going to change generations or change cycles if we don't disrupt things? So,
Exactly.
and I had just happened to be talking about that today about disrupting the cycle. It's just, yeah, that's important. So, have you seen any changes in the women that have been attending your retreats?
Absolutely. It's I love it when I'm around women, and so I use this phrase a lot: give yourself permission. People will say like, why do I need to give myself
Right, right.
permission? When you start to unlock the how the intricacies of the nervous system works, there is an unlearning that needs to happen. And so that unlearning is the permission that you give yourself to explore a different pathway.
Yeah,
And so it's been really fun for the women who've been around me and been a part of this work, how like now they find language for things that they feel in their body that they didn't know they had before. Like they felt it, or they were numb but they weren't really sure what it was.
right.
And or just seeing how more in tune and happy they are and confident and bold. And like I
Right.
love that.
And
Like,
you're kind of like, I did that. I did that, right?
well, and I don't necessarily want to say like I did it, but it's a part of the experience, right?
Mhm.
Collectively, we can ask ourselves questions that challenges the way that we think. And so you go home and you do the work around, well, yeah, why do I even think that way? Where did that even come from? Is
Right.
that something I want to keep?
Yeah, but you have to know that you are playing a part in this.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's go back to something I said earlier when I did your introduction about journaling during your international travel. How did that practice evolve into your being an author and creating your retreats?
So journaling was and is. When I first started journaling, I was in my early 30s. Actually, yeah, it was so late 20s, early 30s is when I started journaling. And at first, it was just a way to document my international travels because
Mhm.
I was a globetrotter. I considered myself a vagabond. So wherever the wind took me and what I was feeling that day, I was out.
Yeah.
I used it as a way initially to connect with my family and friends to let them know what was going on with me. But what it inadvertently did was created avenues or little pathways for me to start to see how it could benefit me in the way that like things that are up here, but I don't always voice.
Okay.
You know, things that are in my mind or I've thought of, but I don't feel comfortable sharing with other people, or I don't feel psychologically safe around people. And so I would take a
Hmm.
pen and write that down. Um, and so that was the beginning of it all, and it became a therapeutic outlet for me.
Okay.
So, and then what was crazy is that as I was jotting things down that I was thinking about but wasn't comfortable saying out loud, and I would go back to revisit it, then that was like a whole healing process all in itself. One, it documented the time, the space where I was at when I wrote it, and then two, it was like a measuring stick in a way of where I am now versus where I was,
Right.
and so to document that. And so this book with Dear Black Woman and the anthology, it was something that has been brewing for a long time because
Okay.
I've had there's no secret to this. I've had a really not the greatest say the not the greatest childhood from a perspective of having caregivers, constant caregivers who were around that promoted and provided psychological and emotional safety.
Okay.
That was a struggle for me growing up. And so through my writing, it gave me an outlet to share those thoughts and ideas. And then it was a beautiful marriage of sorts when Dear Black Woman and this writing a letter to my inner child, it was like the perfect way to do that compilation of all those thoughts I've had over the years and then document it and write it and share it with the world to, you know, again, it's a triumph in a way.
Yeah.
It's a celebration, and it's also moments of wow. Like one, I know I'm not alone, and
Uh-huh.
two, it's just it celebrates the growth, and I'm so appreciative of the growth. The growth feels good.
You are in my head because that was my next question. So I don't have to ask you that question. And but how did it make you feel to actually now you're actually seeing this work on the anthology on paper? Like how is that making you feel to act to just to see it?
Seeing the work and seeing the words, it was. I'll be honest. There were moments where there was sadness.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I've said before and I'm still learning is that healing just it's not linear. It doesn't happen, you know, you go in today and you talk about it and then boom, it's gone. Like
Right.
there's so many layers to this. I was just sharing this with someone the other day. I'm like, I'm tired of the layers. I just want to eat the damn onion like already. But it's
Right.
like that. It's where each stage of your awareness and development, it kind of turns into a new thing to unfold.
Mm-hmm.
So writing the book kind of revealed some of those things, but at the same time too, it also and when I say some of those things, the parts that were really hard, the
Yeah.
parts about, you know, being taken advantage of as a child, being in the care of adults and they themselves were children, you
Right.
know,
Right.
um, and overcoming that and then still seeing the wounds of that. So that was a bit cathartic, but there
Yeah.
was also a component of it too that made me feel again, celebratory, because
Right. Of course.
there is something about when you can talk about some really hard stuff and it doesn't sting as hard. Like there's some
Because here you are, you've arrived,
yeah,
right?
right? There's still sensations, there's still discomfort, but it's nowhere as intense as it was when, like, back then,
Right.
when I was writing or when it was happening. So um writing it and seeing the words, it's a celebration of the growth, and
Hmm.
there's also an awareness of there's still some deep wounds that are still in need of care and nurturing, and
Yeah.
giving myself grace,
Yeah.
and also then coming to the truth that, look, this stuff's not going to be, it's not something it's just going to go away in a day.
Yeah. But I think you're handling it good because we can't change it, right?
True.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So being a mother, how has that played a role in shaping your creative voice and helping you with your business?
Ooh, I mean, being a mom is like the whole source, right? Like that's
Right.
the thing. That's the reason. I tell you, people talk about how their children or child changed their lives, and sometimes it's like from a place of like gloating, or like the best thing that ever happened to them. I would say for me, my daughter has been the best part of me.
Okay.
And it's the best because she challenges me in ways that I never knew that I could expand.
Okay.
And I am so appreciative of the experience so far. And so, because of her, I want to, like, her peers, like, I want her peers as they grow up to have like emotionally stable parents around them.
Right.
I want them to be emotionally stable themselves, right? Have tools where they can regulate their own emotions and know that having emotions is purely human. Like, there's nothing terrible about all the emotions that are on the emotional wheel.
Yeah.
So she is, I'll say she is she has made me want to be a better version of myself. And
Okay.
so, with that, being a better version of myself also means supporting and bringing a tribe and building a tribe around her, which includes women, moms, and then birthing my circle.
Nice. So authors like James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, Octavia Butler, and Toni Morrison, what about their work resonates with you?
So, Octavia is so most of her work, she talks about the future and the way that something about her work where she pulls you in a way, and this is kind of like the style that I wanted and something I wanted to kind of embody as I wrote this letter, to my inner child,
Okay.
right? So bringing a reader in where they feel like they are there with you and they can picture the journey that you're on and envision themselves on the journey with you. I think, Toni Morrison also does the same. James Baldwin does the same. And so I use, and then there's the style of writing. Um, it's not, there's a mixture of styles.
Hmm.
And so there's also like a uniqueness about the style of writing and that I wanted to embody. So I didn't want to, like, it's something, like you're reading something I really like about reading their work is that you read it and you feel like you're there. You feel like, or you can pull on something from your past experience or lived experience and you can connect with it. Like, yeah, I got that. I got that.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, what emotional or mental blocks do you commonly see that moms face when it comes to their self care? We getting deep. Let's see. Let's get this so they can know exactly what is happening at my circle retreats.
So that's a kind of a loaded question because I mean the first thing is guilt. The guilt.
Mm. Mm.
There's a we somehow we I don't know where we get it from, but we women and moms tend to feel like they have to take care of everyone else first.
Yes.
And then when that's done, if there's anything left in the tank, maybe something for me,
I
right?
know, but yeah, that's how we were raised, right? And isn't that how it goes? Because we have to make sure everyone's okay.
But who takes care of us, right? Who's doing that for us?
I guess we sleep when we sleep, we say.
Like that's one of the things. I think the guilt is just like it's astounding. And
Well,
then when we
we should have been interviewing Cammy Red in here too. Cammy Red, if you're listening, don't have this guilt. Who's taking care of you?
yeah, it's ridiculous. And it's like, and even when we do get that minute or that, I'm gonna get some sleep, they're still like, oh my gosh, like, is everybody else okay? Like, I remember, there was this trip that I was planning for the family. We were going to someplace cold, right? And I mean, I made sure
It
my
can't
kids
be any colder than where you are. I'm like, cold.
no, it was cold. Like it was in the middle of winter. I knew we needed like to the point where we're gonna be outside for a while, so we needed hand warmers.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, so I'm making sure my kid has everything she needs because she doesn't get uncomfortable, right? We get to the trip and guess what my behind is wearing? I didn't even bring a jacket.
Oh my goodness.
And it's that kind of it's a selflessness, but at the same time it's like too wide to your detriment.
Mm,
So there's a balance that is we try to like incorporate in the way that we think about our relationships with ourselves and with our children and our partners and all our responsibilities. There is a shift that has to happen here. And so that's some of the work that we do at My Circle. And so like that's the guilt. And then if you do take some time away and then you start to feel like, oh my God, I'm shame, like, I'm not being a good mom. And it's like, listen, the way that we can, women and moms, we advocate for ourselves when we spend more time getting to know who we are, what we want, and so that we can start to articulate that. The closer that we get to that, the better it is, not only for us, but for the people around us. So those are just a couple of things. And I just, like the shame and the guilt are the two like really big emotions that come up when, moms are remotely trying to take care of themselves. And there's really just the work that we do is help with the shifting of how we think about
okay.
our relationship with ourselves and our relationships with, and how that extends to our environment and the people in it.
So are you practicing what you preach?
I
Hmm.
try. I try. I do. Because I feel like, you gotta, so similar thing with my kid. I'm learning that
Yeah.
like, I have to model that behavior for her, right?
Right.
Because she's just pretty much she's a duplicate of me. She walks around and she talks and the way that she interacts is a reflection of how I handle myself.
Right.
So I'm very conscientious. And then not to say like, we, again, back to that whole wiring and how our bodies and nervous system works. There's a process to create the process of creating a new pathway, a new way of doing something takes
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
So there are times when you don't get it right all the time, right? But
Right.
to be intentional about it, absolutely. And be unapologetic about it, absolutely.
For sure.
So I do try to um, embody the life that I share and talk about with other women and moms because it's possible. Yeah, there are days it's hard, but definitely I recognize that I am modeling this behavior, not just for me, but for my daughter.
Yeah. Nice. So how does nature and meditation influence your work and helps you with your personal grounding?
So nature, so when I moved to Colorado, because that's where I am, you know,
Cold Colorado. So
it,
I don't even know where else you went that was even colder. Like,
it is not that cold in the Front Range. Um, but when I came here, I got into like hiking. Before I was living in like concrete jungles, and started to find that the hiking was for me.
mm,
Right, it was a way. So I talked to earlier about like the connection as people and women. If we are not connected to who we are, we talk
yeah,
about grounding. How can we advocate for ourselves? How can we talk about what we want? How can we identify what we want and then be able to speak to it,
right.
and then set boundaries around what that is? It starts with, so it started for me with my relationship with nature, whether that is going up to hiking or going out. Like actually before then, I used to go, when I was living in Florida, I used to go down to the beach. You could drive on the beach, and I remember I used to sit
No,
as the sun was setting and just like sit in my car with the windows down and just hear the sound of the ocean waves and feel the breeze and like watch the dolphins and the manatees kind of like
right.
get into the water. So it started there, but what I found is that there was a connection between being in those environments and experiences to hearing my own voice.
Hmm.
And so the more that I started to hear myself, the more it was something like, oh, this is a thing. It was captivating. It's grounded. Like I feel different in
Yeah,
my body, and I feel more assured. Like that's there's an assurance that comes with that relationship, and so for me, I would strongly recommend if someone's not in a habit of like connecting with nature.
yeah,
Connecting with the nature is cool. You see something bigger than yourself, but then you also get to see more of yourself, and that was it for me.
nice. So, how do you make time for your own self care while you're doing this work and supporting others? Because, it's almost like being a therapist where you're doing all this stuff for so many people. How are you taking time for yourself to almost get your reset? Right?
Yeah, and that's something too that I have to be really intentional about, right? So
Yeah.
like in the mornings, I try like I don't talk to nobody before 7:30. We don't we're not talking.
Uh huh.
And that's something that I've found to be really instrumental with just it sets the tone for the day
Okay.
where I can um, spend time in silence. And that silence, either I'm hearing my thoughts or I'm noticing things that are sensations in my body that I probably wouldn't have noticed if I was moving.
Okay.
I also use that time in the mornings to kind of reflect on what kind of dreams did I have that night.
Mm-hmm.
Also to journal, like just to write some stuff down, like what's on my mind. I write that down. So
Right.
mornings, definitely, it has been something that I've carved out, and it's simple. And oftentimes and I mean, and like I have to get up before everyone else does, but that's okay because I am an early riser anyway. But it's a time that I've has become my own. And
Okay.
then, in the evenings when my daughter goes to bed, do the whole nighttime routine situation, she's in bed, then I have at least an hour before bed where I can either, whether that's meditation, I do meditation in the mornings too, but oftentimes I like to do it at night before I
Okay.
go to bed.
Yeah.
I think that it's a really good way to ease into the evening. And there's some lots of other benefits to it too, but uh, like when it comes to like the calming and talk about reset and rejuvenation and using your breath to stimulate certain parts of your body and find and identify tension and being able to release that, and that's a really great way to get some really good sleep. So mornings and afternoons definitely are times where, or evenings, times where I carve out time that's for me, and I'm very protective about it. Like when my kid is not getting, it's like, come on, you get your butt to bed.
It's not time yet.
Yeah, we done. Like mama's done. So, but yeah, like those are just some simple things and things that I've done, and I've shared this on my social media platforms too, around like just some simple things that you can do. It's very important, especially as a mom, and also anyone with with responsibility or caregiver. you gotta set some time aside for yourself. You gotta just do
Yeah.
something that's really fuels you. Bring something that really brings you joy, whatever
Right.
it looks like. And once you get start with those small things, and then over time you can build it into whatever that looks, something bigger or whatever. But just many micro moments throughout the morning, evening, or throughout the day that you can find something that really brings you joy. Do it.
Nice, nice. And a lot of times you're answering a lot of the other questions that I have, so I don't have to ask them. But what legacy do you want your daughter to inherit from the work that you're doing today?
Man, the biggest legacy I would say self empowerment. Like there's nothing, like my kid is privileged. I know that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And one of the things that I've learned through my career, my professional career, 9 to 5 jobs, is that you can have financial success, but if you are unclear about who you are, it makes it really tricky to navigate life. And so, my legacy through this work is to empower my daughter to find her way so that even if she has no riches, she is self assured. She knows, um, without a doubt who
yeah.
she is, and she can walk into any room and command any room because of her identity and how much she's sure about that.
Nice, 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 nice. So let's talk about where they can find you on My Circle Retreats. Tell us your social media platforms and tell us your website so that everyone can connect with My Circle Retreats because everyone needs it after hearing this.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, so at MyCircle Retreats. I'm also on Facebook, same handle, MyCircle Retreats. You can find me on my website, mycircleretreats.com, MyCircleretreats.
And really, wait, really quick. One thing I want to stress is that you do Zoom or virtual plus you do in person retreats, right?
I do, correct. And
And
I'm getting ready to launch a virtual container that like you go at your own pace.
okay,
So these are, breath work. They're breath work sessions in very various formats and lengths and durations. So if you don't have an hour, you only got 10 minutes. There's something
yeah,
there for you. But these are virtual containers that can be short and bite-sized and consumable wherever you are. And this is also going into that practice of carving out time that is specifically for you. You protect it with your life, and then it's not so much about it becomes a ritual where it's you feeding yourself.
right, right, nice. So you guys heard that you don't have to be in Colorado
Yeah,
to join My Circle Retreats, right?
correct.
Okay, mycircleretreats.com. Instagram is My Circle Retreats.
And
Okay.
Facebook, my circle retreats.
Listen, this has been so much fun because we don't never get to talk like this, where I get to ask you questions. We're really just collaborating on other things that we're doing. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been great.
Yes. All right. I will talk to you later. All right. Thank you for being with us on Color Me and Sound. Meisha Pon's story is a reminder that our most profound creativity can emerge from stillness. Her work invites us to pause, reflect, and reconnect with ourselves and with each other. Support My Circle Retreats and share this episode with a mother who needs permission to exhale. Until next time, keep creating, keep healing, and keep carving space for what matters.